3, 2, 1, and we're on.
And we are on.
Oh, wow. Thanks for that.
You know, I felt like a special intro was necessary today.
Fantastic. Hey, everyone. I'm Leigh. I'm the daughter.
I'm Lori. I'm the mom.
What's going on, girl?
What's happening?
Nothing. Got some fizzy water.
Got some fizzy water. I'm drinking out of my
Your Danny DeVito mug.
my Danny DeVito mug.
What a classic. I can't tell you from the mug. Who am I looking at? No, just kidding.
You.
I know. Well, right off the bat, we have to thank some of our patrons.
Wonderful.
If you could take a minute to stop swigging your liquid.
Swinging my fizzy water.
We have to thank Meg, a new patron.
Wonderful. Welcome, Meg.
Our friend Philip.
Yes.
We love friends supporting friends.
Yes. Awesome.
2 new patrons. Thank you. And we got an upgrade. Kellyanne upgraded from a magic mama to an old hag.
Oh, an old hag.
We love to see it. We
I love
to
it.
see it.
Love
So
it.
thank you, patrons.
Thanks, guys.
Here's our, daily go join our Patreon.
Okay. Yeah, go hang out with us.
It's linked in our show notes. Okay, great. All right. So on another note.
Yes.
Okay, I saw something on social media the other day and I thought we had to talk about it.
Yeah.
So the question was, if people came with warning labels, what would yours be? And I want to do yours. Okay, and you can do mine.
I feel attacked.
Why?
Because I can see that little snarky.
I'm like, I want to do yours.
I can see that little
Let me at
snarky
it.
face. This is my time to let her know.
No, yours would be like, warning. Instead of driving, I look at the side of the road to see what plants are growing around me. That it would be your warning.
Every time you get in the car with me, you're like, you are the worst
I'm
driver.
like, I don't know how you make it day to day, because you're literally like, ooh, a dandelion. Like you've never seen a dandelion before, and you're like, oh my god, what's that over there? A pine tree? I'm like, yeah, we live in Washington. You're gonna see them everywhere. Focus on the road.
I know, that day I saw those blackberry bushes growing.
You almost crashed into said bush. So
Oh
that
my
would
gosh.
100% be your
Would that
warning
be
label.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is you're telling people do not get in the car with me.
Not unless you
not.
want to go for a wild ride. It should be like an amusement park ride. Lore's Plant Drive.
Oh, whirly girly.
All right, go ahead. You can give
Yours?
Give it to, yeah. Mm-hmm. You're like,
let me think
ponder.
about that for a
you don't have to
second.
be mean. Mine wasn't mean. It was just real.
All right, so let me see.
Okay.
What comes to my mind first? I got to go with that gut instinct, because
Oh, boy.
this is what came to my mind first when you said that, is when you have a couple of drinks, warning, Leigh likes to get down deep in the convos. Nothing's off the table. It's like the deep convos.
Yeah.
You like to debate, girl.
I like to argue.
You like to argue and
Jake
debate.
said that to me one day. He's like, I think you get off on arguing, because you could say the simplest thing. I'd be like, well, let's look at it from this other angle.
Let's talk about
Let's
that.
talk about this.
I
Are you
don't agree
sure?
with you. Let me see another side of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Well,
I love it.
I know. Phil, speaking of our new patron, Phil, he hates drinking with me because he's like, oh my God, here she goes. Here she goes.
He's like, I just want to drink and chill. And you're like, let's get serious.
let's talk about the real issues happening in the world when I'm like tanked off of gin. Seems like a good time.
Let's get real.
Hey, I think that's a pretty good,
That's a good one.
good combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
I
it.
like it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we would love to hear yours. If you can think of a warning label for yourselves, please share it with us.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You want to just jump right on in?
Well, no, because something else exciting happened to me this week.
Oh, what?
You're like, oh, what? That I didn't know about? You know.
What? Do I?
So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
Right?
remember.
I know where you're going. So if any of you know me, you all know that Leanne is the social media guru. I have an Instagram page, but I do not.
She doesn't know.
I hardly ever post on it.
Right.
I'm going to try to get better at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get you there.
It's mostly plans.
Now is what you're about to talk about is the reason why you want to get better at it. Let's be honest.
Okay. All right. So I did, when we were driving across the country to move from Pittsburgh to here, I was taking pictures and posting on Instagram. So my first stop when I got to Chicago, because I had never been to Chicago.
Okay.
And you know who's from Chicago. Like, you're Matthew Willard. my John Cusack.
I know this.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Love him.
He's from Chicago?
He's from Chicago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So when I get up to the Chicago Skyway, I am like, oh my God, this city is like beautiful. And what comes on the radio but Howard Jones?
Okay.
And he's singing from Better Off Dead, the
Right.
Better Off Dead soundtrack.
Things can only get better.
Things can
You're
only
welcome.
get better. Thank you. And so, of course, I was only in Chicago for a few mementos, right? Mementos. So I had to have a Chicago-style pizza. And I had to stop at the Orpheum. I think it was the Orpheum, where John Cusack filmed in High Fidelity.
Oh, right, yeah.
Outside of there. Took a picture and then kind of then took the picture of him. I was like, I made a montage and I was like, here I am.
collage.
I said, here I am in John Cusack country, right?
Yes, you posted the photo you took next to the one of him in the film in that same spot.
Right.
You trying to explain that was great.
Me trying to explain how this whole internet thing works is
You're
beyond
like,
me.
you know, these film photographs, you can put two of them next to each other.
Yes. So anyway, I did that and I posted it, which is like no big deal because I have like 10 people that follow me, right?
You're so excited.
And so that was like how many months ago?
Like
6
6
months
months.
ago,
Yeah.
right? And so I get a notification on my phone the other day, like a dingle bell. What it sounds like.
Dingle.
Oh, no, that's what it sounds like.
Oh, there's tears.
Anyway, so
Okay.
I'm like, well, I only have like 2 followers. So, like, what kind of notification is this? And I click on the button, and John Cusack liked the picture.
You were sitting next to me and you go, oh my God, John Cusack just liked my picture. And then there's me being a total asshole. I was like, no, Mom, it was probably like a fan account. I'm like, let me see your phone. And I get it. I'm like, oh my God, it was him.
It was.
His verified account.
His verified account, John Cusack.
So, like, how do you feel? Are you
I was
famous
super-
now or is it a
No.
love match? What's happening?
No, I was super excited about it because he's like a cool dude. Yeah.
Righteous dude.
He is a righteous dude. I really, like I said, we always say, I feel like I grew up with him,
She's trying
We're the
to
same
act really
age.
cool
I'm
and
trying
calm.
to act cool and calm. I'm such a fan.
John Cusack fan club.
Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he
Well, that
a
is
cool dude.
exciting.
It is exciting,
I'm
right?
sorry I forgot about that. Nothing exciting ever happened. So I was like, what?
You're like, what are you talking about?
I know. Well, yay. Hey, John Cusack, if you're listening, we love you. No.
Yeah, we sure do.
We
right
sure
on.
do. All right. Well, with that, are you ready to jump in?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Now that you shared that
Now
news.
that I shared that exciting news.
All right. You know what I'm doing today because I told you.
You did, yes.
I am doing one of Fact Check Jake's favorite movies. And I want you all to drink that in.
Yep.
Of this era.
Of this era. Let me specify.
Let me fact check
I
that.
have better taste than that.
I'm glad you admit that. Okay, I'm doing Queen of the Damned.
All right. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, I recall it had a good soundtrack.
Hey, I love the movie, but it's also like horrible. Okay, like it's not a good movie, but I love it.
Is it a 90s horror or 2000?
2002, and wow,
Ooh.
does it just wow.
It exudes the 2000s.
It is just a time capsule of 2002. Like they really just went all out. Okay, so it is a gothic horror / fantasy film.
nice.
Ooh, gothic horror. I liked that. I was like, okay.
I like
and
it.
that's legit. Like, okay, that's what it is. Directed by Michael Reimer.
Don't know.
Me either. Loosely based on the book series The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice.
Interesting.
And so Interview with
the Vampire.
Yeah, was like the first one. So this is like kind of a sequel, but not really. But it's from the same universe, that book series.
Oh, cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, the cast. Aaliyah as Queen Akasha. Stuart Townsend as Lestat de...
Not Tom Cruise.
No, thank God.
He did not reprise his role.
From Interview with the Vampire. No,
No.
thank God. I can't stand Tom Cruise. I'm just putting it out there. Okay, I can't stand you. No,
Tom Cruise, do not like our pictures. No.
sorry, I'm not sorry. I don't like you. Okay. Stuart Townsend as Lestat de Lioncourt. De Lioncourt.
De Lioncourt?
De Lioncourt.
Okay.
Ooh. Marguerite Moreau as Jessie Reeves. and Vincent Perez as
You're
Marius.
going to say
What?
margarita. It's like, I could go for a margarita.
I know. Hey, we still haven't had like alcohol.
No, right?
We're like really killing it. Yeah. Now that I'm looking at that word, it does look like margarita. My mouth is like salivating. Thanks for that. Okay. And Vincent Perez as Marius.
Nice.
Okay. Here's the rundown of
Give
this
it to
movie.
me.
If you haven't seen it, you're really missing out. Okay. So just stay with me here.
Hey, we used to watch this movie a lot.
We did. And the soundtrack is pretty killer.
We had it. We had it in our
We
video
did.
collection. Yes.
We sure did.
Can't remember if that was VHS or DVD, but
Well, we have the VHS out
Yeah,
there right now.
there you
So
go.
there you go. All right. So the rundown. Vampire Lestat is sick of hiding in the shadows. Okay. He's lonely. He's kind of just over being a vampire because you can't, walk about in the
Right.
world. You have to
Yeah.
hide yourself. You're
Right.
a vampire. He decides to just give up and go to sleep for 100 years until he is awakened by the music of the early 2000s. And I'm not joking. That's legit.
That's really what
happens.
woke him up?
He's like, I just decided to go to sleep until I heard like this awesome music.
Oh my
and
God.
it's like fucking Corn.
was it Rammstein?
It was literally like Corn. I'm like, okay, like cool it.
Oh no.
So he wakes up and he has his first meal. And his, powers are heightened, and he's like, I have to find this band that woke me.
It's Corn.
I have to find Corn.
What was his name?
Who? What's that?
No, the lead singer of Corn.
Jonathan Davis.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Remember
he-
when he had like the beads in his
Yeah, that's kind of like his
Yeah,
thing, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, well, you're jumping ahead, but he wrote a lot of the songs for this movie. So when I say the band sounded like Corn, it's
was Korn,
because Corn wrote the songs. Okay, so he finds the band, tells him that he is a vampire, which is a big no-no.
Oh, no.
Okay, but they're like, yeah, whatever. He becomes the lead singer of said band.
What? What
Which-
happened to the other lead singer?
There wasn't one. They were waiting for him. They were just jamming out on like their instruments, and he like floated in and was like, "Ah,
I'm here.
I'm here." They call the band the Vampire Lestat, whatever his name is, because
That's the name of the band?
the Vampire Lestat.
Interesting.
I know, and they skyrocket to fame. Okay, and he's like out as a vampire, but of course the world thinks like it's just a little
like-
gimmick.
It's an Alice Cooper type thing.
Right, but he's like, no, bitch, I'm a vampire. Here's what's going on. They describe their music as sex, blood, and rock and roll. Okay. Let's
right.
see what they did there.
Does he make all of his bandmates a vampire?
I don't think so. No. No.
So he's the only one getting the blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm with you. I'm following.
You're going too deep on a movie that you just can't. I'm just going to tell you right now, don't go deep. There's no point. Okay. Lestat is trying to encourage other vampires to come out of hiding and to live in the light. But of course, the world is just like, no, the vampires are like, no, we're not going to do that. And the world is like, you're just joking around. You're not actually a vampire.
Right.
Meanwhile, there's this girl, Jessie.
Okay.
And she's a paranormal researcher. And one day she's drinking her coffee and she hears Lestat's tunes, aka Korn's tunes. Okay, just picture that. Just sipping your coffee and you're like, oh, what's that? And she's like intrigued by the lyrics of the vampire Lestat. She believes that he is actually a vampire
Okay.
and that he is leading his listeners to a vampire coven in London. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Are you following me?
I am following you.
Okay. Her boss tells her that he knows about Lestat and he knows that vampires, are real because he has been tracking the closest thing he could find to the original vampire, who was the one that actually turned Lestat.
Okay.
And he knows this because he stole one of Lestat's journals. Ooh, okay. And this OG vampire, his name is Marius.
Okay.
Okay. He tells Jessie to back off and not get involved because it's dangerous. But of course, she's like, did you hear that fucking sweet jam? No, I'm fucking getting involved. And she steals the journal.
Oh, no. All right.
Okay. She reads how Lestat was turned by being bitten, drained, and then drinking Marius's blood. So Marius and Lestat are like living together, doing their thing. Lestat is like, I really want to like live out in the limelight from early on. He was like, I'm going to be seen. And Marius is like, no, you can't do that.
That's against the rules,
That's
dude.
against the rules, buddy. So at some point, Lestat stumbles upon the tomb of Akasha, which Marius is keeping in like a secret, dungeon or whatever. Akasha is the queen of all who are damned. Hence, queen of the damned.
I like it.
Okay. She ruled over Egypt with her mate until they both grew weak and turned into living statues, which is what is kept in that tomb.
Oh,
okay. Lestat is like, everyone wants to fucking hear my music. So he grabs a violin and he plays to Akasha's statue.
Oh, seriously?
And she awakens. Okay, so everyone in this movie just fucking loves
that music.
Loves this music.
Wow.
She awakens and extends her wrist to him. And he drinks from her.
That was not
Mistake.
Good. Big mistake.
Big mistake. Big oopsie.
Amateur.
Marius is pissed because he's like, you're a young vampire. You're not strong enough to handle. Like she's the
powerful.
Queen. She's the queen, dude. You can't handle this.
Uno.
Yeah. And Marius leaves him. Okay. So flashback to present day. Jessie is still being a little bit dumb and she decides to go after Lestat because she's, been reading his journals and she likes him a little bit.
Okay.
So she goes to see if he's at this vampire club that she has deciphered he's leading people to. Okay. Just keep along with me. She is immediately attacked by a group of vamps, but Lestat swoops in and saves her. And sparks are flying.
Oh, it's a love connect.
Do you see a little love match, okay, in the alleyway by the vampire club? Later on, Lestat is finally reunited with Marius, who warns him that his music and life in the spotlight has awoken an old friend, Akasha. Dun, dun, dun.
She pissed.
You don't want to with that, Mac Daddy. Okay. We then see her at the vampire club that those two were just having a love connection at. So she's like tracking Lestat, okay? And she's like, oh, he's not here. I was just picking up his scent. And her rage kills literally everyone at the club and sets it on fire. It's pretty bad. She walks in and she's like, he's not here. And she's just like, this shit.
She's like, I'm pissed.
I'm a little pissed off. I just awoke to hear some early 2000s jams and he's not here. Okay, so Jessie returns the journal to Lestat the night of his big concert and asks him to turn her into a vampire. But he's like, no.
No dice.
No, you don't want this. You're alive. You should be happy you're alive. So then he has his big concert, which everyone has warned him, don't do this because these vampires are pissed that you're giving away their secrets and they're going to try to kill you. And that's exactly what happens. Okay.
They try to kill him?
Yes. During the concert, Lestat is attacked by a bunch of vampires, but Marius decides to help Lestat and they fend them off. However, Akasha, she found him. She appears and she takes Lestat away.
Oh, no.
I know. We think that she's going to kill him, but she's actually kind of digging him.
She just wants to hear some sweet, sweet tunes.
Play me those sweet, sweet jams. Do you know Korn? Call him in. And she decides to make Lestat her king. So now they are a duo. Okay.
Jeez.
I know.
Does she braid his hair?
Oh my God. Like Korn? Is that where? Okay. I was like, where did you get that from? Okay. All right. So meanwhile, Jessie is rescued by her long lost aunt, who we find out is actually an ancient vampire.
What?
Okay. Early on in the movie, Jessie explains that like she never really knew her family and she has like weird memories. And so then this all starts to make sense. And she's like, yeah, like my aunt's a vampire. Like, again, she's just like, yeah, totally.
I'm totally down with this lifestyle.
Right. So along with some other OG vampires, they make a plan to take down Akasha. Because Akasha's kind of like, she's a badass, but she just kind of does what she wants.
Yeah.
And, she just takes down whoever she wants and she don't really like people.
And they don't really like her, apparently.
No.
Right.
So there is a final showdown. Akasha orders Lestat to kill Jessie, but after tasting Jessie's blood, Lestat like snaps out of it, of this spell that Akasha has
because
him
it's true love.
under. Because it's true. Duh, Mom.
It's true love.
It's true love. So he turns on the queen and begins to drain her blood with the help from all of the other vampires, because that's how you kill vampires. You drain all of their blood.
Okay.
Okay. Akasha dies. Lestat lets Jesse drink his blood so that she will change, and everyone lives happily ever after.
Oh, did he? He bit Jesse. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, you said that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because Akasha said, "Go kill her," and then he bit her, and then he was like, "No, I like you.
I like you.
Nice.
It's true love.
It's true love." Okay, did that make any sense?
I got it.
Okay,
yes.
This movie really bad. I was gonna try to say something good. There's a lot of good performances. I like the guy that plays Lestat. Aaliyah does awesome. The music. If you were a goth kid in 2002, this is for you.
Awesome,
okay?
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about vampires.
Okay.
All right, so we have talked about The Lost Boys before, but
we have.
My lesson was how awesome The Lost Boys was, so I didn't even talk about vampires.
Right.
Okay, so vampires are defined as undead creatures from folklore that subsist by feeding on the blood of the living. Mm-hmm. Ooh, we all know this, right? Mm-hmm. Their powers / characteristics tend to change slightly depending on the stories, right. But they will almost always drain a human's blood to survive, which they do with their sharp fangs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Powers usually include immortality. Nope. Immortality. I can speak, I swear. Oh, yeah, that. Superhuman speed and strength, hypnosis, and regeneration. So, like, if they cut themselves, it just heals.
Right.
Which you see most of that in this movie. Mm-hmm. They usually can only appear at night as the sunlight hurts them. They are often depicted as being able to transform into some type of animal, usually a bat. Mm-hmm. They do not have reflections, and they do not cast shadows, which I don't know if I knew that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because they're not... No, I'm just not even going to go there. I was going to try to work that out in my head, but I will come across as dumb, so I'm just not going to. All right. They can be killed either by a stake to the heart or by decapitation, followed by the burning of their body. Mm-hmm. Now, this is kind of like in popular, like today, right. What it has become. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to know kind of like how it started. Yeah. Like, where'd
that come from?
Where did this come from? Mm-hmm. Okay, so early on, vampires were created as a way to explain disease and decay before anyone knew any better.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
Okay, there's this thing called purge fluid, which I beg of you, do not Google, because I did. I was like, what's that? And I hit the images tab. Ooh. And I'm still recovering. Okay.
Oh, no.
It's a decomposition fluid that may leak from someone's mouth or nose when they're...
An orifice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any orifice.
Any orifice, yes. I put two and two together. Thank
I'm
you.
Looking at you like, are you getting...
I got you.
Orifice. Yeah, it looks like blood, though.
Oh, okay.
So this led people to believe that the dead were feeding on the living. Right? Because this happens when you're decomposing. Okay. And so they're like, well, why is there blood by their mouth? Like, because you have to think, like, they didn't know, they didn't understand decomposition.
Right.
And so they were like, well, they're dead and they must be feeding on living people.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which then led to the thought that they were the ones spreading the disease in the first place. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because of this, vampire tales started to coincide with outbreaks of the plague.
Oh, interesting.
I know.
Okay.
So that's a little bit there. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, okay, and you can. There's a bunch of different stuff going on depending on where the legend is.
Okay.
But I wanted to see who was the first vampire.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of hard to pinpoint, but because this movie talks about Egypt, right? Akasha ruled Egypt. Mm-hmm. So in my research, I actually found an Egyptian goddess named Sekhmet.
Okay.
That is tied to vampires.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Okay. So she is known in ancient Egypt as a warrior, goddess, healer, and a protector of pharaohs. Okay. She's depicted as a lioness or as a woman with the head of a lion dressed in red, the color of blood.
Okay.
She is said to be the daughter of the sun god Ra, who sent her to Earth to destroy any mortal who ever conspired against him. Okay, he was pissed. He was like, hey, go make this right.
Damn.
After doing so, she realized she had a thirst for blood and began to drink the blood of everyone she killed. Like a vampire.
Okay.
Because of this thirst for blood, she ends up slaughtering almost all of humanity. Okay.
Girl, pump the brakes.
I know. Cool your jets.
Damn.
No, go off. To stop her, Ra dyes a bunch of beer red to trick her into thinking that it's blood. She, pounds it all to the face, and she becomes so intoxicated. Party time. She becomes so intoxicated that she abandons her murder spree and goes and passes out for a little bit.
She's like, hell with his blood. Beer's where it's at.
I know. And that is the story of Sekhmet, and that's why she comes up in like vampire lore.
Okay. As the original vampire,
Well, one of them.
One of the tales.
Yeah, you'll come across a lot, and I'm not going to touch on some of them because they're for other episodes.
Yes.
But because, like I said, Akasha was an Egyptian, I figured this tied in well.
Yeah, nice.
So that is my spiel there. I do have some fun facts.
Wonderful.
Well, this first fact is not fun.
Okay.
Aaliyah, as most of us know, sadly died in a plane crash in 2001 at the age of 22.
Yeah. And it was like right when, or the movie was released after?
The movie was released 6 months after her death, and it was her last film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's said that so all of the filming was done, but like the voiceover stuff wasn't, so they had to call in her brother.
Oh, wow.
And he kind of helped fill the gaps.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually remember, me and my sister were up late.
I remember watching it on the news.
Up late at night, and we were watching MTV, and they used to have that bar that would go across, and it was like, breaking news, Aaliyah. And we, oh my gosh, we were devastated.
And it was just that there was too much stuff on the plane. Like the plane was too heavy.
I don't know. I know she was she was off somewhere filming a music video. And then, I think it was like, some negligence. So it was really sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
I think this was only her second film, and it was her last.
Wow.
So very sad. Great performance. I'll give her that.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I mean, she's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As you already pointed out, there were original songs by Jonathan Davis of Korn, and you can see him and his braids. At some point in the movie, he makes like a little appearance.
Does he really?
Yeah, I think he's like selling tickets outside of the Lestat's concert. So there you go. The soundtrack, like we said, is pretty banging. It includes performances by Disturbed, Static X, Chester Bennington, Papa Roach, and of course the Deftones. Because we all know that sexy scene when they're in the tub with the roses and it's changed. What's it called?
Change in the House of Flies.
Thank you. Yes. Nailed it.
Chester.
So like I said, if this was like your scene in the early 2000s, this is really great.
It was a good soundtrack. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and most people don't know this, but Jake was like a total goth kid.
I know, right? Hilarious.
And that's why he loves this movie.
I stand on it.
I stand by this. Maybe I'll be able to find some pictures someday and I'll leak them.
Jake in his goth days.
His goth days.
Nice.
All right, so that is Queen of the Damned.
I love it.
It's a fun one.
It's a good one. We used to watch it all the damn time.
I mean, I love vampires, so anything that has something to do with vampires, I'm into. I love early 2000s stuff because it's so cheesy and bad.
Yeah.
Like the effects in this, like, because Akasha can just kind of wave her fingers and people light on fire.
Right.
So bad. Like when they light on fire, I'm like, oh, guys, I know you think you were doing something, but you
Super
weren't.
cool, but no.
No. I'm sure for 2002, when it came out, everyone was like, oh my God, did you see that?
Did you see those special effects, man?
Did you see those fucking flames? The flames on my Janko jeans looked more realistic than those.
Funny.
But no, it's fun. It's a cute little like blast from the past if you want to go back and revisit it. And look up the fucking soundtrack.
It is good.
On Spotify.
It's good, yeah.
All right, there you go, folks.
I love it.
Woohoo.
I love it. All right, so I'm up.
I'm strapped in. I'm ready to go.
Are you?
Yep.
Because you know what I'm doing today, because this was a request.
It was a request.
And you said, Laura, you take the reins.
I was going to do it, but neither of us have ever seen this one.
No.
Had ever
As
seen
a matter
this
of fact, I'd never even heard of it.
I had heard of it. I have seen it because I'm a big like horror community gal, and I've seen it pop up. I thought it was an older movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
there's reasons for that.
Yeah, okay. Give it to me.
All right, cool. So I'm doing The Love Witch.
Ooh.
Right? And this was done in 2016.
That's shocking to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was older as well when we watched the trailer when we first decided to do it. 120 minutes long, so
whoa.
Get your popcorn ready and, you know,
my gosh.
Get cozy. All right. It's considered a comedy/horror/romance.
Oh, okay.
And maybe the reason that most of us have never heard of it, I couldn't even find a budget.
Oh, really?
No, but it only took in $246,000 at the box office.
Is it? Okay.
So it was only a limited release.
That's what I was gonna.
Yeah. So, probably, but I believe from everything that I've researched and read that it's gaining popularity and it's probably going to be one of those cult classic-y type.
I could see that.
Yeah. So I think it will, see much more.
Stand the test of time.
Yeah, in the coming days. So it is actually written, produced, edited, directed, and scored by Anna Biller. I hope I'm saying her name right.
Wow.
Bueller. I don't know. I knew you were going to say that. And this was only her second movie.
Dang.
Her first movie was in 2007 called Viva.
Okay. Wow. She was putting in some work on this movie.
Oh my gosh, girl. Wait till I tell you.
Okay.
All right. So Anna is considered a feminist filmmaker who consciously explores feminist themes, specifically the female gaze. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
In her works, she is known to be very vocal about gender inequalities in the film industry.
Okay.
Yeah. So the cast, Samantha Robinson plays Elaine Parks.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm saying this right. Gian Keys plays Griff Meadows. Laura Waddell plays Trish. Jeffrey Vincent Parise plays Wayne. Jared Sanford plays Gahan. Robert Seeley plays Richard, and Jennifer Ingram plays Barbara. Those are your key players.
I love your casts. It's like a page long.
I know you're like 4 pages of notes. I'm like, yeah, but one's just the cast.
Oh my God.
Well, you can't leave anybody out. That's just disrespectful.
Right.
All right. So the film is one of the last to cut an original camera negative on 35 millimeter film. And this was in tribute to pay homage to the Technicolor film, specifically of the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
So this was considered, quite the undertaking.
Right.
So although the film is shot completely with a 1960s look and feel, it actually takes place in the present day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be in the present day because you'll see like cell phones and you know what I mean?
Right.
The movie is worth the watch just literally for the imagery and like the sets are fantastic.
Yeah.
It is just so cool and it does bring you back to that, that 60s Technicolor.
Right.
Yeah. So here's the plot.
Okay.
A modern day witch uses spells and magic to get men to fall in love with her, with deadly consequences.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right. The film opens as Elaine, a beautiful young witch, is driving in her red convertible. You see a lot of color floating around in here.
I love color theory.
And she's on her way to California. We see her smoking a cigarette and talking about starting a new life.
Okay.
Next to her, in the seat next to her, we see a tarot card, which is the 3 of Swords.
Oh, that's my card.
That's Leanne's card. Yeah. So we already know right out the gate.
Uh-oh.
Some funky stuff was happening there.
Right.
All right. And then we see a flashback of a man who seems to have mysteriously died.
Oh.
And we learn that this is actually her ex-husband named Jerry, who left her 2 years earlier and was just about to get remarried when he died suddenly. There's some subtle hints in there that Elaine was to blame.
Okay, gotcha.
On her quest to get the hell out of Dodge, she remembers that she had an old mentor named Barbara. And she owned a house in California. So she's going to rent the house from Barbara.
Okay.
She doesn't live there. So she meets the woman that's taking care of Barbara's house. And she was actually she goes, I was the interior designer.
Okay.
But the cows.
Yes, the cows.
The cows, I know it well. All right, so the house is like so super cool. It's like decked out in all of this like retro occult imagery and paintings and astrology. And it's got, an apothecary, like a hutch with all these like herb jars. So, right there, I'm like, woo, it's nice and colorful. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
So Trish asks her if she would like to go to the local tea house and, get to know each other better and have a cup of tea. So weirdly, she goes from like all of this red, like her luggage is red, her dress is red, the car is red. And then they cut to this tea room and they're all dressed up in this Victorian pink, like, clothes.
Really?
Yeah, and I was thinking, you just happen to have that in your bag? Like,
yeah.
I'm going to a Victorian tea house. Let me put on this pink bonnet. That was like, oh my gosh.
Come on, everyone has a pink bonnet laying around.
Right. So through the conversation, we can see Elaine's fixation on attracting a man.
Gotcha.
Okay, we know that
she's on the prowl.
She's on the prowl, and that's her main goal. And it sounds like completely archaic.
Okay.
Like she talks about men being, men are like children, and as long as we give them what they want, they'll be happy. And so Trish looks at her and she's like very serious. She's like, it sounds like you've been brainwashed by the patriarchal and patriarchy. I can't get that word out. What the heck? It's like stings the throat.
It sure does. It sure does. Oh,
it's
man.
Painfully.
Patriarchy.
Patriarchy. Okay. And then in walks Trisha's husband, Richard, who, of course, is instantly smitten with Elaine.
Oh, no.
Because, of course, she's beautiful.
Okay.
And one of the we see all this red, but she wears this blue eyeshadow. And so it always, whenever she's, on the prowl, it darts in and all you see is her bat in this bright electric blue eyeshadow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go to town. If you can pull it off.
I know, right?
It always reminds me of my Aunt Lola from North Braddock. But
the blue shadow.
Do your thing.
Yeah. In Elaine's attempt to find a new lover, she meets Wayne, a local lit professor, and he's immediately smitten with her, of course.
Okay.
And, right away, she's like, sure, I'll get in your car and go to your cabin in the woods with you, because I guess, she fears nothing. She's got the magic happening.
Right.
And, of course, he's like, yeah, come to my cabin.
Well, of course he is.
Mm-hmm. And so then she's like, pulls out this flask and she's like, here, drink this. And he's like, okay.
Hell no.
What? Hello? Even this is supposed to be taking place in modern day. You don't do that shit.
Hey, not everyone is as jaded as us, Mom.
Maybe, right. So then he's like, what the heck was in that? And so she was like, some berries and some alcohol and some hallucinogenics.
Oh, tight. Yeah.
Right? So she goes in, makes some dinner, which in his kitchen, he has your mushroom jars.
My mushroom jars?
Yeah.
Oh, I love a mushroom jar. I really do. I have 19 of them in the kitchen. Jake says I have to stop.
So, cook some dinner. They don't eat very much of it. And of course, because I'm like, boy, she went to a lot of trouble to make that dinner. And they didn't eat any of it because...
I love that you put that in there.
Well, that drives me insane.
Oh, my
gosh.
All
right. So, of course, they have sex.
Right.
Because,
they have sex.
They have sex because she's a sultry, and she's, in her little lingerie and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So Afterwards, Wayne becomes totally clingy and is weeping uncontrollably, which completely annoys Elaine. So she goes into the living room and she's like, "F you, Wayne. I'm going to, basically, I'm going to sleep out here.
Bye-bye, Wayne."
And when she goes in the next morning to check on Wayne, he's dead.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know I was predicting that one. So long, Wayne.
Right. And she was not really even upset about it. So she puts him in a wheelbarrow and takes him out in the yard and buries him.
Oh.
But not before she does a ritual to send him on his way. And she creates this witch bottle, which I'm sure if you've seen the movie or if you haven't, this is one of the things they talk about. It's very like graphic, and they like completely show her standing over the toilet and peeing in a jar.
Okay.
And then she takes out a bloody tampon and sticks it in the jar.
Why?
And with some herbs, which I think was rosemary. You know, it's the herb of remembrance. So, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Oh my God, you're too pure for this world.
And then she's, she's going to bury. It's like a ritual to send the dead off, and I guess
All right,
it's
never
called
heard of it.
It's called a witch's bottle.
Is that a real thing?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. I wasn't investigating.
Okay.
I mean, it could be.
Hey, let me know.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So, and then I was thinking, like, why would you do that? This, again, modern day, we're in technology here. DNA, girl. DNA.
Yeah. You're not. Have you ever watched Forensic Files?
I know, right? So, next up, she says, well,
on to the next.
Bye-bye, Wayne. He did not work out. So next up is Richard, because Trish is going out of town.
Oh, no.
And so she invites Richard over for dinner.
Hey,
see,
she's against girl code.
She's always cooking a good meal. Dressed
but not
in scanty lingerie. And it's like, Richard's like, thanks for having me over for dinner. And I'm thinking, dude,
Richard,
she's in a nightie.
Get it together,
What
Richard.
do you think she called you over for?
Right.
So then she gives him the cocktail.
Oh, God.
And it was like this huge brandy snifter. Like 2 hands. You needed 2 hands to drink it. And then, of course, she does her little sexy dance, and they end up having sex.
I'm seeing
You're seeing a pattern.
Yes.
And she thought, well, because he's married, he's not going to get his... apparently, her potions are packing a punch.
Because they become too clingy.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
she's like, well, he should be fine because he's married.
That's
you know
because
what I mean?
love spells backfire.
Yeah, because you've talked about that on several occasions. So he does become clingy. And so she's like, dude, I got to break this shit off, right?
Oh, God.
Because this was a one-nighter. You're married to Trish. And so, no, he can't handle it.
Oh, no.
And he ends up offing himself.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Because she broke his heart.
Well, you need to cool it with those potions. All right?
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Yeah, it looks
Adjust
like
your measurements.
It looks like a chemistry lab in her house. It doesn't look like a regular. Like there's a mortar and pestle with some herbs she's crushing, and then there's like all of these,
test tubes,
beakers and test tubes with all these colorful liquids,
Breaking
steaming.
Bad.
Exactly right. So Trish suspects that Richard had an affair. Dun, dun, dun.
Duh.
He was acting a little odd. I just don't understand it. So then they find the professor's body.
Okay.
They find Wayne's body and the witch bottle. And of course, the detectives are like, what is that?
Oh, my God.
And of course, the trail leads to Elaine.
Is that rosemary?
I would be like, I think it's rosemary. So, the trail leads to Elaine. And when the police officer, Mr. Handsome Chisel Chin Griff,
Oh, God.
goes to question her, he, of course, is no match for her feminine wiles, and he falls in love with her.
Son of a
Right?
Okay.
But Elaine thinks he's the one because she did a tarot card spread for herself, and she's
It's saying good things.
She's saying, yeah, this is the one. This is your night, right? So they go on a date, which consists of, this is where it starts going way out. I mean, like, it was weird before, but now it's like, okay, so they go on a date, which consists of riding white horses.
Tight.
Okay, which is cool. But then they just happen to stumble upon a Renaissance festival out in the middle of the woods where her pal Barbara and the leader of her coven, the aged high priest named Gahan, who is a male,
Okay.
talk about a flashback. Well, they're conducting this Renaissance festival, but then there's this flashback of her being indoctrinated into the coven.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of very, not cool. It's very like Anton LaVey-esque. And it's like, or think of Rosemary's Baby, like to be indoctrinated into this coven, you have to have sex with Gahan on an altar while everybody's watching. You know what I mean?
Yes, okay.
So, so she doesn't care for him all that much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they have this mock hand fasting at the Renaissance Festival.
Oh, okay.
And there's a play about the Oak King and the Holly King in midsummer, and you can see them eating corn cakes and drinking a mead.
Oh, okay.
So it's like this,
right.
And there's a unicorn there.
Is there actually?
Not mythical.
What?
It's a horse, and they strapped a horn.
You know what? This movie seems like it went off the rails. I thought maybe
exactly. Well, no, it was actually a tied-on horn. But so they have this mock wedding for her and Griff, and she thinks that he's the one. And
didn't they just meet?
Yeah.
That's fine.
The day before. Right. But he's the one. Okay. So then next, we jump to Griff sitting on a bar stool at the local strip club.
Griff, you had potential.
I know. Lamenting the fact that his new gal pal is probably a murderer. Oh. And when Elaine arrives, he pretty much has to tell her that he has to arrest her because, all these dead people are showing up and
with your pee next to them.
That was your pee in the jar with the rosemary and bloody tampon.
Oh my God.
Your DNA. And that's exactly what he said. We got your DNA. No So he's basically, it's over, Elaine. And she's pretty upset. You know what I mean?
As one should be.
And she basically like lets loose on him, and she's, he's telling her like, you're a witch and you're terrible. And, and she says, I've been treated like garbage my whole life and thrown away like common trash. Aww. And now that I've decided to take my power back and use it. Okay. Now I'm the bad one.
Oh, she's spitting some facts. Okay.
Griff, even though he has broken off the relationship, he decides he's going to help her, and he helps her escape.
Okay.
And they end up back at her apartment. And so she thinks, well, he must love me because he saved me. And so she offers him the cocktail.
Oh, not the cocktail.
The cocktail. And then he says, hell with that cocktail. And he throws it on the floor. And he says, you know what? You don't know what love is. And no man could ever love you enough. And then she takes her athame out and stabs him to death.
Okay.
And she gets this little weird grin on her face like, I feel validated.
I deserved this.
I deserved this. And that's the end of the movie.
Okay. I see. I see where they were going with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do?
I do, but I'm going to let you give me the rundown.
All right. So, it's kind of, I feel like I would probably have to watch this a couple times.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It was all over the place. And that's the one thing I kept thinking of. There were like several things that came to my mind. I was like, this is like really all over the place. And there's so many things going on. It wasn't like one storyline, it kind of was, but it was very jumpy. I think when you asked me how I liked it, I said it was weird because it was like the actors were very dumb. specifically the men.
Like they were bad.
They were bad actors.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we find out that was all deliberate.
Oh, okay.
So the film is all over the place. It was hard to pin down. But the research was varied. Like everyone has their opinion on what it all means. What is it all about?
Gotcha.
So first and foremost, the imagery and detail to attention was like nothing short of amazing. Like if you watch it just specifically for that, amazing.
Yeah.
I read that it took her a couple of years to gather all of the vintage, because she designed the sets, the costumes, everything. She gathered like all of the sets from like vintage stores, and what she couldn't find, she made herself.
Oh.
So at one point, when Elaine decides she needs the love of a man, she does this ritual, and there's like a pentacle rug.
Oh, I know. I saw that.
So she made that.
Wow.
And it took her 6 months.
Whoa.
Not Elaine, but the Ann Beeler.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah. Hey, I'd like to give you this role, but first, can you knit this rug?
That's your in. Knit
That'll
this rug.
guarantee you a spot. So again, amazing to say the least. It pays tributes to the movies of the past. According to Vox, everything was deliberate. The actors' delivery of their lines were stiff and awkward, and it was like to evoke the qualities of a low-budget exploitation film, which was very popular in the 60s, 70s.
Gotcha.
So although it harkens back to the 60s, addressing the movements surrounding patriarchal norms and the feminist movement, but set in modern day. So it's kind of showing that human nature does not really change.
Interesting.
And it does not tend to evolve as much as we think it does.
Oh.
So.
Ouch. Yep. That's a true slap.
Yeah. So it taps into the true price of the patriarchy. Specifically in the flashback where she is initiated into the coven.
Right.
So it's like they brought her in under the guise of feminism and free love and, erotic freedom. But although we still see that it's run by a man.
Right.
And the woman is still held to a separate standard. Mm-hmm. And she has to have sex with the old geezer, right? The old fart.
The old fart.
So it shows that the burden is placed on the woman to change in order to please a man and be seen as a caregiver. Okay.
Yeah.
But then it also weaponizes her for her physical appearance and sexuality. So it's like you can't win. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they do go into the history of witchcraft a little, although it's in a very campy manner. And they kind of portrayed as a revolt against the patriarchal system, which kind of, I think the way they did it upset real witches a little.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then I was like, what is my lesson here? Because this really was all over the place. So there were so many things I could have tapped into, but I thought I would just tap on a few little things. There weren't even any fun facts.
No fun facts
to be found about this. It's pretty
low-key.
not a lot out there on it.
Okay.
So the fact that color was used throughout the film, the red and the pink specifically, represents love.
Right.
Red is passion and heat, and pink is romance and charm. So it's that duality that she played to be that sultry, but still that innocent, romantic, what I mean? To kind of encapsulate both sides.
That's interesting.
Now, when we talk about her giving the cocktail,
yeah,
and using the hallucinogenics, at one point they mention that what she puts in it is Jimson weed. Okay. So Jimson weed, better known as datura, sometimes called thornapple, devil's weed, or devil's snare, is a member of the nightshade family in the genus datura. Grows wild all over the United States. Totally check out a picture.
Check out a picture, everyone.
Picture of Jimson weed. It is a beautiful plant, but it definitely commands respect.
Yeah.
It is considered a witchy plant and is often associated with witches, specifically with flying, spiritualism, connecting with the divine, visions, and prophecy. However,
not love magic, though.
love magic, yeah.
Okay.
It is often used as a hallucinogenic.
Okay.
So, but this plant is very toxic. All parts of it, specifically the seeds. It should not be ingested, and even touching or smelling it can.
So is that why these people were dying?
Well, yeah.
You're like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably it. And the magic that she
Right.
performed, because she wanted them to fall in love, but it was too powerful. Yeah. So, even touching or smelling the plant is not advised, but of course we know that people use it often. Disturbing hallucinations, tachycardia, paralysis, and memory loss. So, it can be fatal.
Yeah, just leave that one alone.
Yeah, so don't mess around with that.
Don't make a cocktail out of it.
Don't make a cocktail out of the old Jimson weed. It is beautiful, though. So the next thing I thought was interesting was that 3 of Swords card in the tarot deck. So you know this card well.
I do.
So generally, right side up, this card represents heartbreak and sorrow, grief and loss, indicates a period of difficulty and hardship on an emotional level.
Yeah, sounds right.
No. You're like, brings with it upheaval, depression, trauma, loneliness, and betrayal. The feeling of loss on a deep emotional level, but it's not all bad because it teaches us that difficult situations show us who we are and what we are capable of, and usually pushes us out into, the bigger picture.
I do like that it was in the first scene with her, though. That's interesting because it really sets the tone for her character.
Yeah, and then you see it throughout the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool.
And so when in relationship to love,
yeah,
when that card appears in your spread, it usually means that it's a relationship that's on rocky ground. It's usually divorce or a breakup, or that something is going terribly wrong in this relationship that needs to be addressed.
Right.
Whether it's, just not good stuff.
Right.
So when the card is upside down,
it's
a release of all of those things.
The swords are falling out.
The swords
are falling out.
The swords are falling out, which means you're releasing.
Right.
And things are getting better, because usually when a reverse card, it's usually not that great. But in this case, it is. And in love magic, it actually means that the relationship is on the mend and maybe things can be worked out.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was I thought it was very fascinating at the Renaissance Festival, which we know well, the Battle of the Oak and the Holly King.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. We all know I have a little, well, maybe not all, but I have my little acorn tattooed on my neck.
Yeah.
Because I love the oak. So the Battle of the Oak and the Holly King is based in Celtic tradition. The legend of the battle between the Oak and Holly King and their battle for supremacy as the wheel turns each season is celebrated during the solstice. So each rules for half of the year.
Right.
Okay. The Holly King represents a woodsy version of Santa Claus. Okay. He's dressed in red and wears a crown of holly.
Yeah.
And the Oak King is a representation of the Green Man.
Yeah.
The fertility god. So at winter solstice or Yule, the Oak King, who represents the light and the sun, conquers the Holly King, who is the dark. So it's the return of the sun and the end of the darkness. So winter is ending and the sun is coming back.
It's so pretty.
I know. At Midsummer, or Litha, which is the harvest festival, the Holly King defeats the Oak King, and we prepare for the darkness to return.
Right.
Yeah, so this celebration, you can see them drinking the mead and the corn cakes, which is something. So gold is a prominent color in that festival.
Yeah.
Because that's the sun, the color of the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Midsummer when we did that movie a while back.
Yeah.
I know, so pretty, and the visuals are just always so stunning.
Yeah, I love the battle between the Oak and the Holly King. That's really cool.
Yeah, we should tap on that more at some point. I think people would like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So that's what I have with The Love Witch. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it sounds like a really cool movie. I still haven't watched it yet because I wanted to just hear, you know what I mean, like unbiased. Just from like Googling it and seeing the trailer, the visuals, oh my God. I mean, so dreamy and just, I love when there's intention put behind that.
And I think she's probably, I wonder if she's a Virgo. I mean, oh my gosh, the attention to detail was spot
off the charts.
on.
Yeah. I mean,
beautiful color imagery.
Seems like she was intentional with every bit of it, intentional with the meaning of the story and every single detail. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I can see why it's becoming popular.
Yeah.
I could see why it's a little not mainstream because some people don't there's some like
I mean there's
gritty,
some,
whatever you want to
some
call it.
off-putting
right
topics,
to some people, so I could see that, but I don't know, it sounds like a cool movie, man.
It was cool.
I like to see the female taking power. I mean, obviously this is like way off the charts and you shouldn't not killing people, but
I think it was a good representation of somebody that is beat down, unfortunately, by patriarchal society and what it is that a woman should be or shouldn't be. And you kind of get muddled in there. And then, with her bad experiences, it made her go a little...
Well, yeah, she's still wanting to, like, she has her power, right? Like, she's obviously a powerful witch. However, she still is wanting to find a man. Like, she has to, that's like how she exists, and getting caught up in that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, well, that's what something I read was like, even though women, and actually my next topic for next week that I already started researching will spin off of this but it talks a lot about how a woman, even though she comes into her own power and she knows, like she breaks through that patriarchal, there's still that part of her that wants or like fawns over a man or wants the, validation or the love, and, much to her chagrin or regret, like, oh, I've pined over this guy for how long,
but that's why I think at the end showing her actually like not accidentally killing someone, like obviously this is like a dramatic. I'm not telling anyone to don't read into that, but it's showing that she like was actually like, no, this. You know what I mean? Is what I took from that. So I think it's interesting. I think it sounds like it was a great story, like a good storytelling. To talk about some serious issues. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
We love women doing bad things. This girl seems like she fucking did every single piece of this movie. That's totally cool.
Oh, I know. Like every single aspect of it.
Top-notch job.
I liked it.
All right, way to go, Lore.
Sweet.
Very cool. Everyone go watch both of these movies. One,
Queen of the Damned.
One is bad and the other is weird as There you go. All right, you know what time it is.
What time is it?
It's time for Killer Quotes of the Week.
I love it.
All right, mine is, her blood is like liquid fire. Lestat says that about Akasha. I just thought that was cool.
Fun.
I picked that one.
I like it. I thought I would go real simple today. And, because we're talking about the Love Witch, how about All You Need Is Love from the Beatles?
Wow, I think you've done that one before, but we'll accept it. Yeah, you have like 50 times.
What?
No, it's okay.
Damn it.
We'll accept it. Okay. We'll accept it.
It kind of ties in.
Yeah, sure. No. That's a stretch, Lore. No, I love it. I'm just kidding.
Well, how about I can take the one that she said, she said, I should have known he's a Pisces.
That's a good one.
Okay.
We'll
use that one then.
All right, everyone. That's another episode in the books.
Another one in the books.
You know the spiel. Please go check out our Patreon. Thank you again to our new patrons. How exciting. Yeah, we're doing a bunch of cool stuff on there, and it's about to get a lot cooler, and some more exclusive goodies are coming, so go check it out.
Yes, I love it.
Leave us a review. We are doing giveaways. If you leave us a written review, screenshot it and send it into our DMs at Uncle Bob's Magic Cabinet on Instagram.
I just did a tarot card reading the other day.
Yeah, every month we're going to pick someone that leaves us a written review, and you win a 10-minute tarot reading with Lore.
Yes.
How exciting. So go do that. Apple Podcast is a good place to do that.
Awesome.
And that's my spiel. All right, we will see you next week.
All right, TTFN.
Cut, print, check the gate, moving on.